With the help of Hashem, we are learning Brachas Daf Koyach Daf Chav Ches. We are dedicating this class as well for Vitakon, for its Hatzlacha. Amen. We are in the middle of the Gewaldige story of Rabban Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Many people are familiar in the Haggadah. We quote that Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Harei ani keben shivim shana. I am as if 70 years old. That is this story. So there was a dispute between Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua. People felt that Rabban Gamliel, the head, was too strict on Rabbi Yeshua. There was a revolt, a rebellion in the main yeshiva in Yavne, and they demoted Rabban Gamliel, and they decided to put Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah to be the leader. He was only 18 years old. He consulted with his wife. His wife had various reasons why he should not become the leader, one of which is that he doesn't have white hair. You have to be an elder. So God made a miracle, and just like that, he got 18 rows of white hair. So he was white. And other issues that she had. So all of the reasons why he should not become went away, and he became the leader of the yeshiva in Yavne, in the place of the demoted Rabban Gamliel. So we're going to continue learning the story. We're going to also learn about the concept of kol de parish meruba parish, which is a very important halachic rule, that if something separated from a group and you want to know from which part of the group did it separate, then halachically you assume it came from the majority. If there is a majority there and there's a minority there, that which separated came from the majority. We're going to learn what happens if it's the time of the day where you can daven mincha and daven musaf. You didn't daven either. Which one should you pick? Which one comes before which one? There's a machlokes tanoim. We're going to learn the importance, Rabbi Yehuda, never to daven shachris after the 4th hour of the day, and never to daven musaf after the 7th hour of the day, which is after 1 p.m. Shas Manias. The source of rabbis giving sermons before musaf on Shabbos is from Brachas Daf Chav Ches. We're going to learn about one may taste some food even before musaf, after shachris, which is what many people have today, the Kiddush Club. And then we're going to move on to the Mishnah that speaks about the prayer of Rab Nechunya ben Hakana. He had a beautiful prayer that he said every day before he learned, and another prayer after he learned. And we're going to learn these famous stories of what happened when Rabbi Eliezer was sick. He was about to pass away. The last interaction he had with his students, and what happened when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was about to pass away, and the final goodbye that he gave to his students. These are very famous stories. This is a very important daf, as is every other daf of the Gemara. And if we'll have time, we'll begin with the following Mishnah that's going to teach us 3 rules regarding prayer. We're going to learn about the din you have to daven Shemona Esrei standing, that you have to face Yerushalayim, plus many other dinim, and the fact that it began as a prayer of 18, Shemona Esrei, what do they correspond to? We're going to have 3 different opinions. With that, let us start on Daf Chav Ches Amud Aleph. We are at the end of the 5th line from the top of the Amud. Okay, so we mentioned that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was 18 years old. He became the leader. He became white. He looked like an elder, and now Hainu de Ka'amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Now it makes sense that which Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, and we just learned this on the Mishnah on Daf Yud Beis Amid Beis. Harei ani, I am like kiben shivim shana. I am like 70 years old. He didn't say I am 70 years old because he wasn't 70 years old. Now where do we get 70? Why 70? If he had a white beard, I have a white beard. I'm not yet 70. What's 70? Why not 80? So I'll pick Kabbalah that he was the Gilgul of Shmuel. Shmuel passed away 52. So 52 and 18, that's your 70. Speaking about Gilgulim, Bekitzir, I forgot to mention it when we learned on Daf Zayin, there was a machlekes in the Gemara whether Moshe Rabbeinu, when God came to him the first time, God appeared in the burning bush. Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, was afraid to look at the bush. Was that something good, something positive, that he had derech eretz, he didn't want to look in God in the face, or was he punished for that? So there's a machlekes. Really, the Arizal says Gilgulim, Hevel later came back as Moshe, came back as Iyuv, and that's why the Arizal says, "O Moshe hoya roya." Moshe was a shepherd. Why does the Torah have to write that? Moshe was the first shepherd. Who was the first shepherd in the Torah? Hevel. Oh, now when Hevel brought a carbon, Hevel looked at the manifestation of godliness, and Hevel was punished for that. Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid to look at the fire because he remembered that last time he looked at the fire, he got punished. Or then he wasn't worthy of looking. Now he was elevated on a greater level. Now he is worthy of looking. So that machlokes really has to do, how do you understand the Gilgal? And it's in kind of marking to go into the whole topics, but is it mamish the same, or is it a whole different level? Coming back over here, is it the same? He didn't say he wasn't 70, he was only 18, but he's connected to Shmuel HaNavi, and together now they have a total of 70 years old, and the avodah continues as of the avodah of a 70-year-old. Oh, now Tana, we learned that day when Rab Gamliel was demoted, Rab Gamliel had a system. To enter the yeshiva in Yavne, there were guards, and the guard would ask every person, is your inside like your outside? Or are you fake? Are you a phony? Do you only look the look? The Shomer, Rab Meir of Premishlan explains, the Shomer wasn't a tzaddik, the Shomer didn't know the emes. But the Shomer asked the students, is your inside like your outside? And if not, don't enter here. So when someone asks you that question, you think, I don't think so. I can always be better. I can be more honest. So many people didn't come and learn. The day that he became the head, the first thing he did was he got rid of the guards. The guards were told, go home. They were all fired. And now, everyone had their permission to enter. Rab Gamliel would announce through his guards, if your inside is not like everyone on the outside looks great. Put on a black hat, you grow a beard, you look like chassidut guy. But what's going on in your insides? So Rab Gamliel would say, don't enter. And again, so what it caused for people to grow. There was a good reason for that. So people said, I have to be worthy of coming inside. The downside is that many people didn't come inside. So there were less students. That day, many benches were added. You should know, there was a machlokes between Abba Yosef ben Dustai and the Chachamim. One of them say, 400 benches were added. Now how many people to a bench? It doesn't say. Depends how big the bench is. Depends how little the students are. I don't know, let's say 10 people to a bench. 400. Other one says 700. Maybe, just as Alpi, Chassidus, and Tanya Perek Tazayin, the whole concept of Bilvav Chalasoisai. So Chabad is 3, Chachma Bin Adas, and then Malchus, Maisa. So that's why it's not Toichei Kabari, because their midas wasn't refined yet. So they only mastered 4. They understood, they accepted in their minds, but their midas wasn't refined. And maybe then later, because they entered, later they elevated themselves, dafka because they were admitted. So it became 700. Or however, another way of explaining this argument, but it's very meaningful, whether it's 400 or whether it's 700. When that happened, Rab Gamliel, that was demoted, don't think he went home. Today, if you demote the head of the yeshiva, he would be embarrassed to go back. He went to learn the next second. Okay, so he wasn't the head. Who cares? He went to learn Torah. So he walked in right away the next day. And he felt very bad that the yeshiva is so full, he began to question himself, maybe I'm guilty of preventing all these people from learning. Maybe my standard was not a good thing. And he said to himself, Dilma, chas v'sholom anati Torah Yisrael, I prevented Yidden from learning. So he had a dream. And what did he see in his dream? He saw white, beautiful jugs. White means pure. But the Malyan Kitma was filled with ashes. So what did they show him? They showed him that if something looks beautiful, could be the inside, is filled with ashes. So they, so to say, they confirmed to him that he was right. Just because there are so many people in the yeshiva, but who knows what's going on inside of them? Says the Gemara Velohi. Don't understand that in the heavens they agreed with him. In the heavens they did not agree with him. They showed it to him to make him feel better. To make him calm. He felt so guilty, so they took away his guilt. But really, what's really? Same dream. The dream is emes. It was filled with ash. But you know what? But the jug was white. You know, there's two ways of looking at it. You can say, even though the outside is nice, the inside is rotten. Or look at it the opposite way. So what if the inside is not good yet? At least the outside should be good. And the further away we go from the Beis HaMikdash, this happened right after the second temple was destroyed, the more we have to go to the sheet of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Include more people. The person is not yet worthy, he'll become worthy. The inside is rotten, so what? Let the outside be nice. Says the Gemara Tana that Eiduyois by Nishnas. We learned in the last daf. The whole tractate of Eiduyois was learned on that day. By the fact that there were so many new students, everything became clear. More ideas, more minds. Many doubts were resolved on that day. Many people said testimony as to what they remember, this rabbi paskening, that rav paskening, this person doing, and they recorded it all. Whenever you learn in the Mishnah, on that day, they came to a certain ruling. We have this in Soita, we have this in Yodayim. It was on that day. There wasn't a single halacha that was not resolved on that day. And like Rashi says, why? Because there were more Talmidim. This is the source of the rebbe. The rebbe always says that quantity trumps quality. You would think, quality, B'chlal Yidin, we're not quantity, it's quality, emes. But inside that, the rebbe was always of the opinion quantity, another mitzvah, another act, another yid, he just put on tefillin. What do you have from that? Yid put on tefillin. Ultimately, quantity trumps quality. And they came to halachic resolutions. And the Gemara makes the point, the first medium sideline, he did not stop coming from the Beis Medrash even for one moment. That's the greatness of Rabbi Gamliel. He was demoted, he was ashamed. So what? So he wasn't on that chair, he was on another chair. Who cares? The Tanach, as we learned, in Yodayim, on that day, the first day he was demoted, he was already there. What happened? By Yehuda, Geir Amoini. Yehuda, a guy who came from the tribe of Amoin, came from the nation of Amoin. He converted, he came into the Beis Medrash, and he asked them, can I marry a Jewish woman? And there's a rule in the Torah that a convert from the nation Amoin, a male convert from the nation Moav, may not marry into the Kahal Hashem. He can marry another convert, we'll get into that more in Kedushin. But he can't marry a Jewish girl. So it was a simple question. The pasuk says not. Everyone should know the answer. Now, Amalei Rabbi Gamliel. See, Rabbi Gamliel wasn't sitting in the chair of the leader, but he was the leader. He gave the first answer. He said, "Asr." Beautiful. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah didn't even challenge him. Who challenged him? Back to Rabbi Yeshua. Amalei Rabbi Yeshua, mutar ata love b'kol. No, you can marry any Jewish woman you want. Amalei Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel tells Rabbi Yeshua, "V'halik fanemer." It says in Parshas Kiseitze, "Lo yavei amoni umay ave b'kal Hashem." Amalei Rabbi Yeshua, "V'chi amon umay b'mekaymin hengeshim." Do you think that the people living nowadays, this is we're going back over here, 1900 years nowadays. Do you think that 1900 years ago now? The people that live in the nation, in the country called Ammon, are they the original Ammonites? No, they're not. Kvar ola Sancheriv Melech Asher, during the times of the first temple, Sancheriv, the king of Asher, came ubilbe les kol umeis. He confused all of the nations of the world. He conquered a country. He took out the majority of inhabitants. He moved them to another country. He did it to us. He was the one that took out the 10 tribes out of Israel and settled them. No one knows where. Behind the dark mountain somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Brazil, who knows where. Now the truth is, as we learned, people think they didn't come back. Many of them returned, maybe the majority of them returned in the times of the first Beis HaMikdash. We learned a lot about that in Kachin. But anyways, Sancheriv made a bilbul in the world. Shenemar, as it says, that that I have removed, I Sancheriv, I removed the boundaries of all the peoples. Va'asidu seihem shoiseisi, and I plundered their treasures. And va'oirid, and I brought everyone down ka'abir. Yoshvim, I brought down the dwellers into the great strongholds. So being that he moved everyone around, the people that now, in the times of this machlokes, that lived in Ammon, they're not from there. Ammon is spread around the whole world. So if anyone comes and says, am I from Ammon? The majority of the world are not Ammonites. So based on the rule, the kol de parish, anything that separated itself from the group, meruba parish, if you guys can go, left the majority. So I'm paskening that you're not from Ammon. Amalei Rabbi Gamliel says, no, it says in Yirmiyahu, in Yirmiyahu, that God says, I will bring all of the Ammonites back into the country, says God. Yirmiyahu is first temple. So does that not mean that God brought them back there? V'kfar shavu, they returned already. So Amalei Rabbi Yeshua na. There's another verse in Amos. It says, "V'shafti yeshvus am Yisrael." I will return all of the Jewish people to Israel. And Vadayin l'shavan, the Jewish people were not yet returned to Israel. So just like this prophecy did not happen yet, it's going to come with the coming of Mashiach. So the Ammonites were also not yet returned. Now here, unlike the previous story, Rabbi Gamliel was the leader. He imposed this view. He wasn't the leader. So miyad hitiru lavi bekal. Everyone agreed with Rabbi Yeshua. Amar Rabbi Gamliel says, Hoyel v'hachi hava. If everyone is agreeing with Rabbi Yeshua, that's a sign that God is with him. Now I regret insulting him in the prior day. And if that's the case, Ezel v'ayfaisei, I'm going to go and appease. I'll get forgiveness from Rabbi Yeshua. When he came to the house of Rabbi Yeshua, Chazinu, he saw la'ashisa the basi, that the walls of the house of Rabbi Yeshua, the mishchanan, they were black. Why were they black? Amalei, Rabbi Gamliel tells Rabbi Yeshua, from the walls of your home, I can notice that you are, Rashi says, a charcoal maker. His parnasa was he was in the energy market, but he was making charcoal. And Rabbi Gamliel was very wealthy. So he did not have to work to make a living. So he tells Rabbi Yeshua that, you're from the Amcha, you're from the down-to-earth, simple workers. And Rabbi Gamliel felt that that's not ideal. And Rabbi Yeshua countered, that's the greatest ideal. Amar le Rabbi Yeshua tells Rabbi Gamliel, Oy loy ledor, woe is it to a whole generation, Sha'ata parnasoi, that you are its leader, you Rabbi Gamliel. If you view that the rabbi, the leader, the one in charge, if he doesn't work because he's wealthy, if that's advantageous, and it's disadvantageous to have as the leader a simple working person, oi to that generation. It's good when the leader has a down-to-earth job. He understands the people. He understands the challenges. You don't even know the pain. Talmid Chachamim means all the rest of us. Go make a living. Mizoinus means how do they get food? How do they get parnasa? Means everything other than food. Amaloi, Rabbi Gamliel didn't respond to that. He tells him, Na'anesi lacha. He tells him, I have spoken excessively against you. Whether it was only yesterday, but that was the tip in the bucket. It goes back to the story in Rosh Hashanah. It goes back to the story in Bechayres. Mechayli, forgive me. V'loi ashgach bei, but Rabbi Gamliel did not yet forgive him. So then he tells him, Asei b'shvil kavoid abba. He says, I want you to forgive me, not because of me, because of the honor of my father. Rabban Gamliel, the head of the yeshiva in Yavno, was the son of Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, one of the Asar Arugei Malchus. He was killed by the Romans, Al Kiddush Hashem. Forgive me for my father's honor. So Rabbi Yeshua says, if that's the case, I forgive you. So now that they made peace, so now that everyone felt that the reason for Rabbi Gamliel's demotion is no longer here. There's peace. So he has to be reasserted in his place. But then what do you do with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? So the whole back and forth. So Amru, they said, Man nezel v'leimilu l'Rabbanan. Who is going to go and notify everyone that we have to reinstate Rabbi Gamliel? So a certain law and juror said, I'm going to go back into the Yavne Yeshiva, into the headquarters. Rabbi Yeshua sent a message with the law and juror to tell everyone in the yeshiva. The one who wears a robe, should be the one wearing the robe. However, the one who doesn't wear a robe, should tell the robe wearer, take off your robe, and I'll wear it. Doesn't make sense. Rabbi Gamliel comes from the household of Hillel, who comes from David HaMelech. The robe is Malchus. It's in their family. They're kings. He should be the king. Who are you? Now, don't forget, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was a Kohen. He was the 10th generation from Ezra. Fine, Levi has another specialty, but they're not kings. Kings have to come dafka from Yehuda. So the one who wears the robe of kingship should be the one wearing it. And you who don't wear it, you don't have the right to tell him to wear it. This would be the way of telling Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, you got to give back your place to Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Akiva was happy with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. He didn't want Rabbi Gamliel to come back. He tells the Chachamim, Truku, go, close the doors. Don't let anyone come in anymore. Because if not, the workers of Rabbi Gamliel, the chassidim of Rabbi Gamliel, they're going to come in here and they're going to demand for him to be reinstated immediately, and they were not ready for it yet. Amar Rabbi Yeshua, when Rabbi Yeshua saw that he was not right away reinstated, so Rabbi Yeshua says, I'll be the one to speak to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah to get him to acquiesce, to give up his place back for Rabbi Gamliel. Mutav de Ekim, it's better for me to stand up and I'm going to go legabayu. And also above, he knocked on his door. And this is what he told Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. See, before they were speaking about the greatness of Rabbi Gamliel. That didn't work. That since he is the robe wearer, he has to keep the robe. Here, he's speaking very wisely to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Now, one of the functions of a kohen is that if someone becomes impure, and they have to have the ashes of the red heifer sprinkled on them, the kohen does it. So imagine if you're a kohen, and you're the sprinkler. So, and I'm not a kohen. Rabbi Gamliel is, imagine if Rabbi Gamliel will come and tell you, you the sprinkler, the son of the sprinklers, that your water is not good, you're not doing it, I'm going to do it. Doesn't make sense. So it was like reverse psychology. Just like, for sure, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah will agree to that. If someone is going to tell you that your specialty, you're not good at it, I'll tell you how to do it, doesn't make sense. Same thing in reverse. And this is taka the way they got Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and everyone else to accept that Rabbi Gamliel, who is the Mada, he's the robe wearer, he is the representative of King David, Malchus has to be Dafka in that tribe, that he should stay in that position. And again, Amalei, Maza ben Maza, sprinkler, the son of sprinkler. He should be the one doing the sprinkling. But someone who's not a sprinkler, nor the descendant of a sprinkler, meaning not a kohen ben kohen, is Yoimer la Maza ben Maza, will tell the kohen who's the expert, Meimecha, Meima'ara, that your waters is only cave waters, it's not the Ma'im Chaim, the Efrecha, your ashes, which are so special, are only Efer Mikla, they're like ashes from burnt wood. Doesn't make sense. So just like it doesn't make sense to take a kohen away from his kohuna, it doesn't make sense to take Rabbi Gamliel away from his position of being the nasi. Amalei Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva says, hold on, that Rabbi Yeshua Nispaisa, Rabbi Yeshua, are you appeased? You agree to this? And don't forget, says Rabbi Akiva, the whole tumult was only for the honor of Rabbi Yeshua. If Rabbi Yeshua agrees to it, then we have to agree to it also. Meaning we have to agree for Rabbi Gamliel to be again the head of the academy. The first the widest line. So Rabbi Akiva says, tomorrow, me and you, Rabbi Yeshua, we're going to go to Rabbi Gamliel and we're going to tell him that he's reinstated. But then they said to themselves, no, not so pashut. To reinstate Rabbi Gamliel, you got to demote Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. That's also not right. Once he was already the head, once someone is the head, you can't demote him. Are we going to remove Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? We have a tradition. Anything in Kedusha only goes up. If you want to know whether something is holy or not, the enthusiasm that you have today, how is it tomorrow? If it's not connected to godliness, the human nature, you're excited today, and tomorrow you're not that excited. Wherever there's Kedusha, right, the love you have to your kids. It's amazing. You love them today, you're going to love them more tomorrow. That's because it's holy. Because in worldly things, you're excited in the beginning and then it dampens down. So since he was elevated, you can't put him down. So so now we have to have shared leadership. Not so simple. Nidrash marchada b'shabbat or marchada b'shabbat. Let each one take turns every Shabbos. Which rabbi is going to give the sermon 1 week A, 1 week B? They'll become jealous of each other. So they concluded that Rabbi Gamliel should darshan 3 weeks of the month, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah 1 week in the month. So the one who originally had it remained the ikar, but the other one was not fully demoted. And Bahainu the Amar, now you understand whenever the Gemara asks, Shabbos shel mi hoisa, when one student asked the other, whose Shabbos is wanted? Was it Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? Was it Rabbi Gamliel? It was after the story, because that was the unusual time where there wasn't one Nasi, there were two Nasiim taking turns, but not 50-50, a quarter versus 3/4. And now that the story ended on a happy note, that everyone, there was shalom and shalva. And there was the advantage of Rabbi Gamliel, and there was the advantage of Elazar ben Azariah. Now, who began this whole story? We said last year, a Talmud. Who was that Talmud? Oisa Talmud, Rab Shimon ben Yochai. Wow, none other than the Rashbi. And now again we understand why Rabbi Yeshua says that he's alive, meaning that he's at that level of a tzaddik that Rabbi Yeshua, the Rashbi is living today. And such a person cannot be contradicted in public, even for the sake of peace. Which is why in the last year, Rabbi Yeshua was made in public that yes, that I said Rishus, and that's how this whole story began. All right, going back to the Mishnah. V'shel musafim kol hayom. Tanakama says musaf, daven the whole day. Rabbi Yehuda says musaf, you can daven until only the 7th hour of the day. According to the Chachamim, that you can daven musaf the whole day. But if you wait until the end of the day, you're called a sinner. Just because you could do something until 6 p.m., it doesn't mean you should do it 5 to 6. Everyone holds after Shachris you daven musaf. Okay. If you have in front of you 2 tefillas, you daven Shachris, you did not daven musaf, you did not daven mincha, which one comes first? And as we learned 2 dafim ago or 3 dafim ago, that they overlap, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, because mincha you can daven from mincha gedola from 12:30. Musaf, even like Rabbi Yehuda, you have the whole 7th hour till 1 p.m. Shaz manayos. So if it's within that half an hour, or lachachamim the whole afternoon, what do you do first? Machloikes. Tanakama says mispalol shel mincha, daven mincha first. Daven mincha first, and then daven musaf. Why? Because there's a rule. Whenever there's 2 things in front of you, you have to pick and choose one. Which one takes precedent? The one that is consistent. Talis and tefillin, what do you put on first? The talis. Why do you put on the talis first? Why not? Which one is holier? Tefillin is a lot holier. Tefillin is tashmi kedusha. Talis is tashmishay mitzvah. Tefillin you may not enter a bathroom with. Talis you can enter the bathroom with the talis. If you're not using it anymore, the tefillin has to be buried. Geniza, talis doesn't have to be buried. You can't throw it in the garbage. Derech bizoyim. Okay, so if that's the case, why don't you put on tefillin before your talis? The answer is because talis you put on every single day. Weekday, Shabbos, Yontif. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. Tefillin you never put on Yontif. Not on Shabbos nor on Yontif. So that's the rule. Tadr v'she'ena tadr, tadr koydem. So since mincha is every day, musaf is only on special days, mincha comes first. However, Rabbi Yehuda says no. Mispalol shel musaf, and then mincha. Why? Shazu mitzvah veres. According to Rabbi Yehuda, musaf is only until the 7th hour of the day, including the 7th hour, but you have a very short amount of time to daven musaf. The time will go back quick. Mincha, you have more time. So you have to be practical. Do that which the time limit is less, and then do that which has a bigger time limit. Now the question is, with whom is the halacha? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, halacha, not like Rabbi Yehuda, mispalol shel mincha, and then you daven musaf. I won't be insulted. Do what you need to do, guys. All right. Now, listen to the story. Rab Zera, the great Rab Zera, he learned so much that he got weak from learning. He had no koyach. He couldn't learn. His mind stopped working. He didn't go lay down to sleep. You know what he needed to do? He felt he needs to do something that will inspire him to learn more. So who do you think will inspire you to learn more when you lose your koyach? Someone who is learning more than you. So where did he go? He went to, there was a beis medrash there where guys, they were learning day and night. So Azal, he went. Hava Azal v'Yosef, he went and he sat out Pischa on the door of the yeshiva of Rab Nosson Bar Toivi. Why? Amar, he says, Ki Cholfi Rabbanu, whenever the sages will come in and out of learning, I'm going to stand up in front of them to give them honor. But then I'm gonna be seeing the whole day people coming and people learning. The akabel agra, I'm gonna get reward. Meaning he's not serving God for a reward. I'll be inspired by them. Good. So he went there. Boom, the Rosh Yeshiva walks out. Nafik, Asarab, Nasan Bartovi. Amalei Rab Zera tells him, Man Oman Alacha Be Midrash. Who are they paskening like, says Rashi, about this machloikas? He asked him, like the Rabbi Yehuda or like the Chachamim? Amalei, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ein Halachi Ke Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says Musaf and then Mincha. We don't pasken like him. Rabbi Yochanan, the great Rabbi Yochanan said it. Amalei, Rabbi Yochanan said it? Amalei, yeah, in. You know what Rabbi Zayda did? Tana minei arboin zimnin. Rabbi Zayda repeated this 40 times to remember it. Not twice, not 3 times, 40 times. So the Rosh Hashiva saw, Rab Nassan Bar Tovi saw Rab Zayda so excited, he's reviewing it again and again and again and again. Amalei chadahi lach, is this the first thing you ever heard from Rabbi Yechanan? That you're so excited? It's the first thing. Or, it's not the first thing, but it's a novelty. Oy chadat hilach, it's a chiddush for you. Amalei, no, I heard many teachings of Rabbi Yechanan, chadat hili, this is something new. And listen to this. He knew that they paskin like the Chachamim. But he says, Mishum de Mesapkali, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, Rashi, I always thought that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is the one that says we don't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. You should know something. If a person doesn't know and then they know, good. Once you know it wrong, then to know it right is much harder. In other words, I always thought that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is the one that said, En Allah Rabbi Yehuda. I'm very excited that I got it wrong. But now I know it's right. But now, to make sure I remember it right, he reviewed it 40 times. So here is a Yid that had no koyach to learn. From being around Yeshiva Bachrim, why did he get koyach to learn? Not by eating, not by sleeping, not by relaxing, by going to the right place. You gotta have the right, you have to be in the right place. Whoever davens musaf after the 7th hour of the day, Rabbi Yehuda l'shita say that you missed the time. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Olav Hakasav, and in the pasuk says, Gavaldika, very strict words, Nugay, you are broken. Why? Mimoyed, because of things that are fixed in times. Asafti, I destroyed you, but Mimcha, it's your fault. And that refers to someone who's davening, he missed the time of davening. He missed the moyed. So that brings about nugay, it brings about destruction. My mashma, how do you know that the word nugay means tavra brokenness? Like Rabbi Yosef interpreted. When it says tavra asi, that may brokenness come about al soineim, on the enemies of the house of Israel. And that's a euphemism. We never say on Israel, we say on the enemies of Israel. Why? Here also, al da'acharu, because they delayed zmanei moyadaya de Yerushalayim, that they delayed that which is time bound, connected to Yerushalayim. What's connected to Yerushalayim? Our prayers. We pray in the place of the karbanos. And this, like Tosfot explains, specifically Musaf. Rabbi Lazar has a little bit of a different version. He says, Kolam espal tefillah shel shachris. After the 4th hour of the day, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Chaval, daven on time. You missed the time. All of Amar HaKosav, on him the pasuk says, Nugay. Here, according to Rabbi Lazar, Nugay doesn't mean broken. Nugay means an affliction. An affliction, mimoyed, came about because we missed our appointed times. Or safti, that I brought up, God says, I brought destruction, but mimcha, it's because of you, because of your missing the time of davening. And now, my mashma, that the word nugay means lishna tzad affliction, because as it says, dolfa nafshi mituga tehillim, that my soul melts from affliction. And tuga and nugay have the same root. Or Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar Mehachet says bisulay seham, nugais, that her maidens are afflicted. Vihi marlan, she herself is embittered. Here you have the lashon hakas of nugais as afflicted. Daf chav chesam at beis nachamaisa. Rab Avia chalash, he was very weak. And he did not come to hear the sermon of Rabbi Yosef. Says Rashi, guys, this is the source, that Rabbi Yosef was the Rosh Yeshiva in Pumpadisa. And when would he give the big sermon? Shabbos, before Musaf. Eating can only happen, according to him, after Musaf. He was pashut hungry. So because of the hunger, he had no koyach to come listen to the drasha. There wasn't a Kiddush club then, as we'll see in a moment. Now, Lamachar, the next day, Kiyasa, when Abaya came to the yeshiva, Abaya felt, Abaya didn't come when Rabbi Yosef spoke, he insulted Rabbi Yosef. I'm going to put him through the ringer. Boy Abaya, la'anuchi dated Rabbi Yosef. So Abaya engaged with Rabbi Avia, not to be hurtful to Rabbi Avia, but to stand up for the honor of Rabbi Yosef. Amalei, so again Abaya tells Rabbi Avia, my tamalo yasimar lepirka, why weren't you yesterday by the rabbi's sermon? So Amalei, he says, Pasha, to have a cholish loy, I was weak. I couldn't. I was weak from hunger. We should never know that. So he tells them the solution: eat and go listen. Amalei, amai loy ta'am tamidi. Now don't forget, halachically, there is eating a meal. We don't have time to get into the details, but then there's eating something. Now for certain people, it could be that my something is your meal, or vice versa. but there's halachas about the limits. So he agreed that eating a meal, you can't until after Musaf. But to be toying, to taste, some people taste a lot, but a taste, or just tasting, you should have tasted and come. Amar lei, to which Rabbi Avi responded, who says you can taste? Loi savar lo amar. You, Master Abaya, you don't hold lahad. The first medium side line that Abhuna, to Amar Abhuna, asr leilu adam she'itaim, klum kaidem she'isfal tefillas musafim. You can't even taste anything before Musaf. Amalei, to which Abaya tells him, even if you're going to go by that opinion, you know what you should have done? To give kavod to the Rosh Yeshiva, you should have davened Musaf on your own. And then eat. And then go hear the sermon. This must have been one long sermon. Amalei, Bayalei, Lamar Litzluya, you should have davened. Tzeloisa de Musafin biyachid. And Velitoy Midi, and then you should have come. Amalei, to which again he says, don't you know that which Rabbi Yochanan said? Rabbi Yochanan says, if everyone is davening, you got to daven with everyone else. You can't get ahead. No. Amalei, Abaye tells him, Lav itman Allah, did we not learn that Amar Ab Abba betzibur shanu, in the Beit HaKnesset, in the shul, you can get ahead. But if you walk out, then you can get ahead. Okay, so bottom line is, Rabbiya did not allow him with an excuse, not to hurt Rabbiya, but for the honor of Rabbi Yosef. Now, Rabbiya was a great man. If it wouldn't have been of Rabbiya, no one would have cared if it was not by the rabbi's sermon. Okay, so now the Gemara says, I want you to know that V'lei Silchasa, not like Rav Huna. We'll go back that means. Nor do we paskin like Rabbi Shlomo Levi. Explains the Gemara. We don't paskin like Rav Huna, Hada Amaran. Rav Huna says that you can't taste before Musaf. We don't paskin that way, and we don't paskin that way. We are allowed to be toyim before Musaf. And look in Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Reish Pei Vav to find out the shiurim. Okay. Today our minig is that on Simchas Torah, all of us, we make Kiddush after Shachris. That's why we don't duchen Musaf, because we want to have some additional, maybe external, but some additional external energy to dance Hakafis. By making a l'chaim, you got to make Kiddush. And we do all that after Shachris, before Musaf. Nor do we paskin like a B'Shov Levi, B'Shov Levi, Kivin Shigiyaz Man Tefillas HaMincha. Wow, the moment it's time to daven Mincha, my friends, that is from 12:30. Asr loy adam sheyitoim klum. You can't even taste anything before you daven mincha. Many details about that. If a person davens in a zman kavua, he doesn't daven on a zman kavua. Anyways, we don't even paskin like that. Here also, even though you didn't daven mincha, you can taste. But tasting chavra is not having a su'udah. All right, moving on to the next Mishnah. Chavra gavaldik. We went hilchas tefilla. What does a Jew do after he davens? He goes right away to learn. It's very important, which is why in our Siddurim, now it's in the Siddur, we say the Mishnayos, the Braises of Pitum HaToros in the davening, but that's learning. That it should be davening from the Beis HaKnesses straight to the Beis HaMedrash, and now we're going to learn some rules regarding learning. Says the Mishnah, Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana hoya mispalal b'knisas el Beis HaMedrash u'biyitziyasai. When he entered the house of study and when he left, he davened a short prayer. And what's the prayer? Amrulai. They asked, Ma makim l'tefila zu. Ma makim means what's the place of? Says Rashi, no, it means what's the nature? What did he daven? So the Mishnah gives a very abbreviated prayer, and the Gemara will elaborate. The Baraisa and the Gemara will elaborate. Amrulahem b'knisasi yani mispalal. When I enter, I say Shulayera Dvar takola al yodi, that no mishap should happen through me. He's giving rulings, halachic rulings. You have to give the right ruling. And when I leave, my prayer is a thanksgiving prayer. Al chelki, for my portion. That we have the schus of learning Torah. Tana Rabbanan, the Baraisa brings a little bit more of an elaborate prayer. A lot of it we say today when we make a siyum. Brachas daf chavches, mamash daf koyach. What's the prayer that we say when we enter? That no mishap should happen through me. And now he adds, I should not stumble when I give a halachic ruling. Now, stumbling here doesn't mean to say on something pure, impure, that he said later. That's much worse. That's a gross mistake. Stumbling means, let's say that something is halachically permitted, but then there is beyond the letter of the law, let's say you tell everyone what's beyond the letter of the law, that's the law. No one did anything wrong, but you didn't give the right ruling. Don't even stumble. And furthermore, I mean, what happens when one stumbles? If we're good chaverim, if I stumble, you'll be a little bit happy that I stumbled. Oh, you shouldn't be that arrogant. But that's bad, because then you'll be punished for your rejoicement of my mistake. So he was afraid to stumble, not only for him not to stumble, but he was afraid that if he would stumble, a healthy competition, kinasafrim, other people would be happy, that guy made a mistake, and their joy is a sin. So he'll be guilty for their joy. So that I shouldn't stumble, and and therefore my friends will have simcha that I made a mistake, and that's also a sin. And or even worse, I shouldn't say al tameh tar. I shouldn't say al tahar tameh. You know, being machmer in Yiddishkeit is, so what? You are machmer. No, if you're going to say be machmer Sunday and keep Shabbos, you're not being machmer, you're not putting on tefillin. You don't put on tefillin on Shabbos. If something is tahar and you say it's tameh, you weren't just machmer. No, if truma touched it, you're going to burn the truma. You're violating a sin of burning truma. You have to know the halacha. What is permissible is permissible. What's prohibited is prohibited. And he prayed for his friends. My friends should not stumble. And if they stumble, then God forbid, I'll be happy in their stumbling. That was his prayer. More like when he finished learning for that day, what did he say? I'm thanking you, God, Hashem Elokai, Shasamta Chelki, that you made my portion, that you, God, Bahashgacha Pratis, put my portion, Miyoshve Beis HaMedrash, from people that sit in the Beis HaMedrash. You didn't put my portion on the people that sit around and hang around and schmooze at the street corners. I wake up in the morning and they wake up in the morning. Ani mashkim l'divrei Torah. V'hei mashkimim l'dvarim b'teilim. Ani yomal, I toil and they toil. Now, you don't toil on a street corner. This is speaking about people that go to work. But understand the ways of the world. In this world that we live in, before Mashiach, you get paid for results. If two people came with the same result, same product, you 10 minutes, you 5 years, the customer doesn't care about your toil. You don't get rewarded for your toil. You get rewarded for the results. God doesn't reward us that way. We get rewarded for the toil. If someone was blessed either with a certain type of thinking, or he was on top of that brought into a fruma home and he went to cheder, and learning comes to him easy, and the other person has no such background, or the IQ that God gave him is not the same, and he learns a lot less, but he works much harder, of course he has the greater mitzvah. That's the beauty of Yiddishkeit, that I toil and they toil. That's not the Yoshvei Karanas, that's the healthy, normal working people. But ani abel umekabel schar, I get rewarded for my toil. By God, it's not about the results, it's about my effort. God rewards effort. But they don't get the reward for the effort. That's sadly the world. You can make the biggest effort in the world. But if you don't have the results, you won't get paid. I'm running and they're running. But I'm running to the world to come. First of all, no one is running to the world to come. We want to live over here, and the whole kavanah is living over here. So they say that we are educated to realize that we're running through life. You think you're young until 120, but there is 120. And people who see their mortality are people that have a much more meaningful life. And a big part of Yiddishkeit emphasizes that we should remember that we're running through life. The other people are running through life, but they don't think about it. And the whole quality of life changes. When Shlomo HaMelech says that it's better to go to a house of mourning than to a house of festivity, mamash for that. Not because he was into being depressed, God forbid. It's important for people to realize how precious time is. When you realize how precious time is, then taka, you'll live a life that will be worthy of Olam Haba. They're running lebe'er shachas because they're not thinking enough about the limits that we have in the life that we are given to, at least up until the coming of Mashiach. Weiter. The next two stories are gold mines. When Rabbi Eliezer was ill, he was on his deathbed. His students came to visit him. They told him, Rabbeinu, my master, teach us the ways of life. And and through it will merit l'chaye ha'olam haba. In Chassidish words, will be zoicha to the life of Mashiach. Amar lahem, hizoharu, be mindful, b'kvoit chaverchem, with the honor of your kaverim. Number one, Avos Yisrael. That was the first thing he told him. Number 2, uminu b'nechem min hahigoyen. Wow, restrain your children, hold them back from the recitation, from reciting what says Rashi. Refrain, limit the amount of Tanach, specifically Nach, that your children learn. Until today, in the Fruma schools, now maybe it has to be balanced, we don't learn any of it, which is not good. But we spend very little time learning scripture. We learn religiously, chitas, we learn chumash. We're speaking about Nevi'im and Kesuvim. We spend all of our time learning Mishnayos and Gemara. That's a good thing. Hold your children back from learning scripture. Rashi says because it's so attractive that's all they want to learn. It's like we're learning Agadata. It's so Gan Eden this. The emes is, the whole Torah is Gan Eden. But for people like us, we see the Gan Eden in this a lot easier than in the difficult parts of the Gemara. So this chaps you in, but after we're being chapped in, don't worry, Chevra, oh, are we going to schwitz? But if a person learns Nach, all they'll end up doing is they'll learn Nach, and they're not going to learn Mishnayos. So from the beginning, a little bit of Nach, Mishnayos. And you have to have role models. Don't get habituated of learning the easy. Get used to learning the difficult. And you have to be connected to elder people, to our elders. That's a third advice I give. For Yeshua, place your children in the knees of Talmidei Chachamim, because there is nothing like seeing a living role model. And when you daven, the Alter Rebbe and Tanya Pere Gimel, Das, right? Lashon his kashrus, Lashon his chabrus. Be connected when you daven. Lifnei me'atem oidim. When you daven, have das with God in front of whom you're standing. Don't just daven, say the words. That was the advice. And Vishvil kach, tzisku l'chai elam habo. Weiter. Shchol rabbiavrahamzajac. Rabbiavrahamzajac got ill. Nichnasu Talmud of Lavakra, his students came to visit him. Kivin shara oisam, when he saw them, his chalifches, he began to weep. Amar Lei Talmud of his students told him, Nei Yisrael, the light of the Jewish people, the light of Israel. Amud Haimini, the right pillar. Shlomo HaMelech built in the Beis HaMikdash. You guys are building 2 big pillars. They were the pillars of the temple, and the right is Chesed. So they called the leader of the generation the right pillar. It's interesting that it seems from the prior story that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he was everyone can come in. I'm take that back. That was Rabbi Avrahamzajac is called the right pillar, because he was the one that founded the whole yeshiva in Yavne. Patish HaChazak, the strong hammer. So Amud HaYemini is Chesed. The hammer is Gevura. You need to have Gevura. Why are you crying? So he tells him, if I would have been led to go in front of a human king, and what's a human king? Today the king is here, the king himself can be in the grave. Even if the king gets angry at me, the king is just a king. His anger cannot be everlasting, because the king is not everlasting. Even if he's going to imprison me, he cannot do it forever. And if he's going to put me to death, physical death is not everlasting death. And furthermore, I can appease a king. And if the king is in Brazil, you can bribe the king. Maybe in America. In other words, and even then, you go in front of a king and you're going to be judged. You're going to cry. So now, he was about to pass away. They're going to walk me in front of the king of the kings of all kings. And if God forbid, if God gets angry at me, it's an everlasting anger. If the king will imprison me, God cannot be appeased with words. You can't bribe God with money. And then furthermore, these are the famous words. I see 2 paths in front of me. One is of Gan Eden, and one is of Gehenna. I don't know what path they're going to take me. And I'm not going to cry. The great Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. How could he have a doubt that he's going to go on the path of Gehenna? So the Alter Rebbe L'Kutei Torah explains the whole concept that there's koiches ne'elamim in a person. We're speaking about going back to Tanya, not avodah v'beinini, but avodah v'tzadik, that we have to rectify our inner midas, and then there's many levels to the inner midas, and there's very hidden, deep inner attributes that maybe a person is not even aware of, and maybe he was afraid that there was something left in him that he did not elevate. So says the Alter Rebbe. The Rebbe, our Rebbe, Leisiyah Mashakela, Tafshin Yud Beis, the Maimon the Rebbe cried in. So the Rebbe speaks about how every neshama comes into the world to fulfill a specific mission, and sometimes these are for leaders of the generation because of the situation of the world. The world needs something else of them, and they have to attend to the needs of their generation, but they might not end up fulfilling their personal shlichus. When the Rebbe was saying this, the Rebbe cried so bitterly that he put his head down on the table during the Maimer, obviously speaking about his own personal shlichus. So that's some of a tip of the iceberg of what this crying was about. Now, Amar Eloi, they told him, Rabbeinu Barchenu, bless us. Amar Lahem, so he tells them, that you should have the fear of heaven on you, the way you fear a human flesh and blood person. You should fear God the way you fear another human being. There's no time now, but Tanya Perek Mem Aleph, Gevaldik, the 2 levels of Yira, speaks about this concept. Amar Talmud of Atkan, that's it. Shouldn't we fear God more? Amar Lemi told him, Halavai, you'll get to this level. Halavai. Teidu, that if a person does something inappropriate, he says, I hope that no one saw me. The Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, Perek Mamal of these 2 madregas. Okay. Pshas B'tirasi, when he was about to pass away, Mamish, Amar Lemi told the students 2 things. Number 1, Panu Kalim, take away all of the utensils in the room because of Tumah. That's a very big, humble statement. Again, Bekitz and Nimrods. We know from a Yerushalmi, it's brought down on Tosfot, that when Rabbi Akiva was murdered by the Romans, Yoshua Hagarsi, who was the Meshamish of Rabbi Akiva, didn't even know he was murdered. Elyahu Hanavi told him that Rabbi Akiva's remains have to be buried. And Elyahu Hanavi with Rabbi Yeshua Hagarsi buried the holy Rabbi Akiva. And Baruch Hashem, many of us had the schus to go to his resting place until Mashiach. And then after he was buried, so Yeshua Hagarsi asked Elyahu Hanavi, you're a Kohen, how can you be involved in the burial? And the answer that, there's 2 answers. There's an answer of Meis Mitzvah, but the answer that the Midrash brings, the Udir Shalmi brings, brought on the Tosfos, is that since Rabbi Akiva is at tzaddik does not give off Tumah. But you have to be at tzaddik, or at tzaddik Gomor, or from the Bnei Aliyah. And that's the pshat, that since Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, let's go back to the Likutei Torah, he was afraid that some of his koiches nalamim were not yet transformed and elevated. Maybe he's not on that level of tzaddik. If that's the case, then I'm going to give off Tumah. Take the kelim out of the house. But the final thing he told him was, you know who came to greet Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai? Chizkiyahu HaMelech. That's what happens. The older generations, for great tzaddikim, they come to greet you. The last thing he told them was, prepare a cheer for Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda because I see him coming. Remember here in Brazil, many years ago, there was a Yid that I went to visit in the hospital, and he told me that the Rebbe just came to him. He passed away a few hours later. He was a Holocaust survivor. So interesting. The last note, he was very humble, that maybe I'm going to give off Tumah. But the last thing he said is that Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda is coming to greet him. Okay, Chavra, let's start with the final Mishnah in the Yomid. Says the Holy Mishnah, Rabban Gamliel Oimer, B'chol Yom Yoyim Mispalel Adam Shmoina Esrei, the way we do it, the whole Shmoina Esrei. Now, we don't even know of another option, but there are other options. Rabbi Yeshua Oimer, no. Me'en Yudches, there is an abbreviated form that has in it something of the 18 blessings. We'll get to that in this sugya, God willing, soon. Rabbi Akiva Oimer, the third opinion in the first topic of the Mishnah, it depends. If you are habituated in the Shemona Esrei, today we have Sidurim. Today it's easy. Today read it. If you can't read Hebrew, learn. And until then, they're transliterated. They didn't have any of that. But if you know it, then say Shemona Esrei. But if you don't know the long version, then you could say the short version. Topic number 1, 3-way machlokes. Now comes topic number 2. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, that ha'oisat filasi kva, if you make your prayer fixed, we'll see soon what that means, then ain't filasi tachnun. Then you won't have, then it won't become a genuine tachnun. It won't be a prayer of supplication. And again, a lot more in the Gemara, it's getting late. Even though we daven every day, 3 times a day, we got to make sure that we don't lose the feeling for davening. The third topic in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yeshua Oimer, If a person is going on a dangerous place and they have to daven quickly, a short prayer is not an abbreviated prayer. It doesn't have me'en yud ches. It's a short prayer. And what do you say? God save your people, Eshe'edis Yisrael, the remnant of the Jewish people. Where b'chol parasha so'ibur, we'll touch that in the Gemara. By every parasha so'ibur, may the needs of the people be in front of you. God, Berachot Hashem, Shemei Tefilla. Now says the Mishnah, if you're riding on a donkey, there's two issues here. Number one, you have to stand, at least in almost all cases. You can't daven sitting. Number two, you got to face the place of the temple. For those of us who live in the western side of the world, we have to daven east. We're not davening towards east, we're davening towards Yerushalayim. People that lived in the Far East, they daven towards the west. Very good. Then comes the question, Friday night when you're davening towards the west. When it comes to B'Shalom, Shalom, there's a minute to turn around. Why do people turn around? Because they want to face sunset, but you're davening anyways towards west, you're davening towards the sunset. What do you do then? Okay, right. So first of all, you're on the donkey, back to the donkey, get off the donkey, v'yispalo. But if you can't get off the donkey, even while you are on the donkey, at least turn your face towards Yerushalayim. You can't turn your face, or you don't know where Yerushalayim is, at least have a kavanah that you're davening towards a kachei kachei, because all of our prayers go in that direction. Likewise, if you're going on a ship, don't think about a big ship. Don't think about the QE2. Think about a beaten down rowboat, a canoe, or in a raft, something that we never even saw. In other words, the problem is you can't stand up. You'll stand up, the whole thing will turn over. And sometimes if you turn, like go on a canoe, if you turn around, I did that once, you turn over. So again, stay straight, but you chavenes liber keneged beis kachei kachim. Zok the heilige gemara, hani yud ches keneged mi. What do the 18 brachas correspond? So we have interesting opinions that are obviously very meaningful. Amar Hillel, but the Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani keneged yud ches askarais sho Amar David. That in Tehillim kapitel Chavtes, that begins with the words Havul Hashem b'nei Elim. There, the Shem Havaya, the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei is mentioned 18 times. Keneged those 18. Rabbi Yosef Amar no. Keneged Yud Ches Askare should be Kriya Shema. In the Shema, we mention God's name 18 times, but not Shem Havaya. The 18 times is 7. There are 11 Shem Havayas, and there are 7 Shem Elikim. And that's also obviously very meaningful. First of all, we're coming off neither the 7-11. So it's interesting that Havaya is a much higher madrega, but it's also Keneged Shem Elikim. According to the first opinion, in Kapitel Chavtes, there is no Shem Elikim. Amar Rav Tanchaman Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Keneged Shmoine Esrei Chulya Shabashidra. There are 18 vertebrae in the spinal cord. Has to do something within the person. Keneged each one, there is another prayer. Let's hop another few lines and we'll give some more insight into it in the next year. A person has to bow until all of the vertebrae will pop out. In other words, you have to bend your body from your waist. Right? If you're just going to bend your head down, but your back will be upright, then the vertebrae won't be bent like a bow. Ula Amar, don't think that bending your body without your head is good. Also not good. You got to bend your body, you got to bend your head. So Rashi says that when a person bends down, if they're a little bit on the healthier side, then there'll be various folds that will form around their heart. And you bow down enough that there's two folds, one above your heart, one under the heart, and there's like an empty space in between it. In other words, you gotta bend. According to Rashi, it's not about bending the head. It's just another way of demonstrating bending your body. However, the Rashba says no, that if there is a coin right underneath you, if you're going to bend down your waist but you're not going to bend down your head, you won't see it. You have to be able to see the coin keneged liboy. Very meaningful. The chest is your midos. The head is chabad. Here again, the theme that we're learning these days in chitas. In other words, ideally, the beinani of Peirik Tezvav, Avodah Tama, Mayach Shal Talalev, he gave birth to his emotions were moved. They're subordinate to God. The beinani of Peirik Tezayin is only again Bilvav Chalasoisai. At least the head. And that's Rab Chanina. Rab Chanina says, Kivin shenina reisha, if you just bent your head, shuv einat tzarech, then that suffices. Mamish gavaldik. And bilvavcha lasoisa is enough. Amar Rava, v'hu demitztayr nafshei u'mechzikim an decharu. When do we say that just bending your head is enough? If there's a reason why you're not bending the rest of your body, you can't. And it looks like you're making an attempt. Mamish tanya perek tazai. In other words, you're trying to arouse your feelings. It's not working. But at least in your mind, you're chapping that you should get excited about godliness. Beautiful. Hanatam Yisrei. 18. Is it 18? It's not 18. It's Teshasrei Havian. Count the brachas. There are 19 brachas. Amar Rab Levi. Birchas Hatzadukim. The bracha v'lam al shinim, that we are cursing the people who, this is the originators of Christianity, beginning with the Tzadukim and the Baisusim, and then ultimately the people that completely left the Jewish fold. And they made us a lot of trouble. So that bracha was enacted in Yavne at the times of Rabban Gamliel. So now we have 19. But we began the sugya giving 3 reasons for the 18, whether it is Kapitel Chavtes, whether it is Shema, whether it is the vertebras. So where do you fit in the 19th? It fits with everyone. Look in Kapitel Chavtes. True, there's only 18 times Shem Havaya, but then we have another Shem Hashem, Shem Kael. Shem Kael B'Chesed. Amazing that the Shem Kael B'Chesed is connected to the V'lam al Shinim on the Tzedukim. Where do we have that? It says Kael HaKaved Hirim. Kael. There also a Kael, the god of the glory thunders. Thunder is also Gevura. But we use the word Kael. Now, Rabbi Yosef, in the Shema, like we mentioned, there's 11 Shem Havaya. There are 7 Shem Elikim. But where do you have the 19th? Echad. Echad is referring to God. Here it's also very meaningful. That the Tzedukim, they were fighting against Hashem Echad. They were fighting against Torah Achas. In other words, the Torah Shebal Peh and Torah Shebachsav is all the same Torah. Fakir, the Torah Shebachsav is writing down some of the Torah Shebal Peh. And let up Tanchum Rabbi Shua ben Levi that it's connected again to the vertebras. Gavaldi connected chulya ketana shebeshedra. That in the spinal cord you have a little vertebra, and that's known as the luz. The luz is that unique bone that even when a person is decomposes, the bone of the luz never decomposes, because the luz bone only gets nourishment from su'udas melava malka. Adam Arishan and Chava only decompose because of their sin. But when they ate whatever that was, the luz only benefits from Malava Malka. They didn't eat Malava Malka, they ate Friday afternoon. So the bone that did not benefit, the luz is always exists, never decomposes. From that bone, God is going to reconstruct our bodies by Tchias HaMeisim. So imagine, so that bone is the bone. In other words, the ultimate goal is that, like we learned on Daf Yud, is that we're not cursing the people. We're cursing their thinking. We're cursing their philosophy. We're cursing their theology. But we want for the person to be reconstructed. We want for the person ultimately, to be continued.